So once more we're in Nuke and we're going to look at the advanced multipass compositing equation. Now if I full screen these two sticky notes, we'll see the two equations side by side, and they're not very different. In fact, if we look at the end part, they're identical. So specular plus subsurface scatter plus self-illumination plus caustics plus atmosphere plus background is the same. So all of the changes are at the beginning, up here. Now, the lighting pass in the basic Back to Beauty compositing equation is broken up into the diffuse times the raw light pass. And the global illumination is split into the diffuse times the raw GI pass. So we could write this slightly differently without changing it in any fundamental way. We could write this as diffuse times raw lighting plus diffuse times raw GI. And that would be identical. That would be no different than what we had before. And now perhaps this parallel is slightly clearer. Now the reflections, we have the raw reflections times the reflection filter, and the refractions, the raw refractions times the refraction filter. So what do we gain by this? Let's have a look with some actual passes. So again, I'm going to create a shuffle node. And you may remember we've created our shuffle pass preset. Defaults to lighting, there is no lighting pass, so we're going to take our diffuse pass. Now this is not the same as our direct diffuse that you may get from another renderer, which, as we've already said, would be equivalent to V-Ray's lighting pass. What this does is it gives you the actual materials that we created within V-Ray as they are rendered out without any lighting information whatsoever. So they do have the shape coming forward, but they don't have any lighting coloration. So you can imagine this would be very useful for changing the color of the lampshade without it being affected by the color of the lights, which may have their own color temperature. So again, I can create another shuffle node. I'm going to copy paste that one, and this time I'm going to bring it up here so you can see it. I'm going to take the raw light pass, and that's that. This gives us the lighting information, and as you can see, these textures almost all effectively are white. So it's like putting the whole thing onto a white texture. So if I take that and I select one of these, type multiply. Now multiply math is a color correction operation, multiply merge, that's what we want. And I'm going to connect that to that, and that will give me the equivalent of my lighting pass, exactly as we had in the basic equation. I can also create another one of these. Let's put it over here. And I can make that, pop it up so you can see it. I can make that raw GI. And again, I can create another, and if I hold down Control, I can make these little dots. So we can create an elbow there, tidy it up a little bit. Always good to keep your scripts nice and tidy. There we go. I'm going to hit tab and type multiply again, multiply merge, and I'm going to multiply that also by my diffuse. And that will give me my GI, which will be identical to my GI pass in the basic compositing process. And now I want to create a plus and add them together. And as we've said, that would be exactly the same, because it is basic maths that we're doing here. If we did a plus, and so we did raw GI plus the raw light, and if we took that and we multiplied it by our diffuse layer, excuse me for crossing the streams, we would get exactly the same result. So if we toggle these two, we're getting exactly the same result because our maths is correct. So it doesn't really matter, whichever you prefer. I'm going to use this way just because it's a little bit tidier in the graph. In the next clip, we're going to set up our reflections using raw parses.